I go downstairs to the locker room. I put my hands down there. I only feel one testicle. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? Were you at Crunch? Were you in the gym the day that it was like a week before my show and I flipped shit and threw the barbell over the railing and all that?
Damn.
You weren't there?
No.
It was like a week out from my show, and some guy was deadlifting. It was 135. And he just left the weight there it was there for at least 30 minutes. And I was doing something over that way and I turned and my shin kicked and busted my shin.
Yeah.
First thing through my mind is I'm 1 week out from a show. I'm angry. I'm pissed off. I'm hungry. My dick ain't working. And now I get a busted wound on my shin that I'm gonna be on stage with. And I just grabbed the bar 135, grabbed it and just threw it over that big railing over there onto the track. I was pissed.
Oh shit. Good topic. Good way to start the podcast.
I hated that place, man. Remember when I would inject insulin on the gym floor?
With your because you had your little you had your lunch bag with your little fruit cups in there.
I'd walk right over there by the stairs and just pull it out, do what I had to do. I'm like, it's legal. What are you gonna say?
The little table, it's it's $20 at Walmart. Go ahead and buy it.
Yep.
All right, good segue. Insulin. Going right into the main topic today, which is digestion. So real quick, first, I guess we'll announce it, right? Secrets Revealed Bodybuilding Podcast. This is the 4th episode now, so we're kind of like getting into it now. It's pretty good. We got Eric Buonanducci out of Florida, Tampa, Florida. We got Sean Hypes out of Newport News, Virginia. And then you got me out of Somers, Connecticut. Moved 2 years ago. Should be getting used to that now. So yeah, I figured we get on here, talk about digestion. I think 3 of us have a little different take on it all. Sean, you're pretty well versed in like digestive issues and helping people fix it. I've got a good overview of digestion. I can have some tips to help fix it. Eric, you got Crohn's, also ulcerative colitis. So that's a completely different take that neither one of us, I think, are too versed in that much. But I definitely don't have it. So, so if you guys don't mind, I was going to start off with just kind of giving like a basic general overview of digestion, where it starts and where it ends. Starts with mouth, into the anus. That's it. That's digestion in a nutshell. But no, so digestion starts in the mouth, right? It starts with chewing. As soon as you start chewing, you start salivating saliva. That saliva is going to help lubricate the food to help slide down the esophagus. It's also going to start, digestion starts in the mouth too, because that saliva also has some enzymes in there to help start breaking that food down as well. So you start chewing the food, you swallow it, goes down the esophagus, ends up into the stomach, right? That chewing also kickstarts the stomach as well. It starts producing stomach acids, bile, which helps break down fats, emulsifies fats. And in the stomach just further breaks down that food into its, its smallest components, which is protein turns into amino acids, carbohydrates turns into glucose, and fats turn into fatty acids. So once it's digested in the stomach, it enters into the small intestine, which we know is really the larger of the 2 intestines. It's like 25 feet long. As it travels down through the small intestine, that's when the food is actually starting to absorb into the digestive system, it actually digests, or it gets absorbed into the intestinal walls, right? So once those amino acids, that glucose and those fatty acids are absorbed into the absorbed into the intestinal walls, it's then shuttled to the liver. The liver is kind of the bouncer of the body. It kind of tells you where those nutrients are going to go. Once it's processed through the liver, it's then going to end up as storage, right? So you can be stored as body fat. It can be stored in your tissues. Your amino acids will be broken down and it'll be used for cellular turnover, right? Your body is always undergoing turnover. So new amino acids are going to attach and bind to the cells while the ones are dying, going away. The fats are going to be turned into for hormone production, also being used into cellular regeneration as well. Let me see here. I got some notes because I'm talking ahead of myself sometimes. And it's also so storage, energy production, and consumption. Right, those are the 2 main things that happen after it gets absorbed into the bloodstream: storage, energy consumption. The food that does not make it into the bloodstream and that stays in the small intestine, it then travels to the large intestine, and then eventually it is excreted throughout the anus or the asshole, whatever you want to call it. And so that's digestion in just a very general nutshell. Anything to add?
Well, there's definitely a lot to add.
There's a lot to add, right?
Yeah. I think a lot of times, and this doesn't go for someone like Eric with, the digestive issues he has, but for the most part, people overcomplicate it. They really do. I mean, there's people that take digestive enzymes that have no need to take them. The people that do need to take them take the lowest quality $5 ones at Walmart that are sitting on the back end of a shelf. Mm-hmm. I personally am not a big fan of using digestive enzymes or probiotics. I believe in trying to use whole foods before we attach everything. And that's a thing I think a lot of people are afraid of, and whether it's in the world of the coaching, like we talked the first episode of people trying to seem smart and doing all these things. It's a step-by-step basis. And this is something I've dealt with a lot of my clients that have digestive issues is one thing at a time. You don't do 3 or 4 things and then, okay, yeah, it's working. Right. Which one? That's always the thing. Or when you eliminate things, don't eliminate 2 or 3 things, eliminate 1 to 2, 3, one thing at a time, not 2 or 3.
So hold on. Before you're getting into it, but you didn't really talk what you're talking about. So you're talking about digestive issues, right? So, all right. So what are common symptoms of digestive issues?
Bloating, constipation, diarrhea is up there, but typically diarrhea, that's not necessarily a digestive issue. That's a lot of things from bad food to food that you don't have the enzymes to break down.
The side effect. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's mostly the biggest thing in bodybuilding that a lot of people don't pay attention to is bloating. And sometimes people say, oh yeah, I'm bloated. They're really not, just like
bloating and slow digestion, right?
Yes, correct. It can also be off gas. It can be a blockage. One thing that actually I learned this past year, well, I guess it would be 2019 because 2020 was kind of thrown out the window, is actually dry stool. A lot of times after the food leaves the large intestine, believe it or not, you can lose hydration in the stool and it just starts backing everything up.
On that, I want to talk about that real quick. On that, so those of you guys who don't know, Eric and I pretty much grew up together since I think 7th grade. We've been best friends, like pretty much brothers. Lived at each other's houses throughout the year.
We've seen a lot of stools.
We've seen a lot of stools until this day. Sometimes I'll still get a poop pic on my phone. Yeah, I remember this kid called me in the bathroom one day at his house to look at his shit in the toilet. And I swear to God, I thought he took dog food and like saturated it in water and like squeezed it into the shit for turd. Because it just looked like a bunch of like knobs. It looked like dog food, just like kind of pressed together like shit. And I was dying. He's like, what's so funny? He's like, this is normal shit for me.
That's a work of art.
So I think that's your topic when we talk about dehydrated shit.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that you're dehydrating yourself. That's typically with an issue with fiber, that your body is not processing everything properly. And that's another big thing that I'm sure we'll touch on a lot here is fiber.
Yep. Yeah. That's
unreal.
So I've been taking, as bodybuilders, right? We don't typically take in enough fiber as it is anyways, because a lot of the times people are taking in faster digested foods like white rices, those kinds of things, white potatoes. You're not getting a ton of fiber in your diet. So I take Fiberlize from Species. Dude, this is, if you guys are out there, Big Palmy 25 gets 25% off. I don't get any kind of kickbacks from Species at all. I just, I got a discount code because I want people to use this stuff because it works. It's good. I put all my clients on it. I think Fiberlize is the single best supplement you can buy for $20. I'll never take it again, or I'll never not take it again in my life. But I take 2 scoops a day, and it just regulates your system. And just, there's so many benefits to fiber. It slows down digestion, so it's going to help with nutrient uptake. It's going to detoxify your whole digestional tract in your colon. It's going to strengthen your colon. You're not going to have to push as hard. So there's a reduction in hemorrhoids. It's going to severely reduce or significantly reduce the risk of colon cancer. It's going to make you, it'll help increase insulin sensitivity. There's a whole bunch of benefits to taking fiber. Other sources of fiber, your vegetables, whole wheat products, oats, those kinds of things.
Yeah. And fiber is something too that I tell everyone to get on hand, keep on hand.
Yeah.
But, you both worked with me. I believe in a lot of whole foods. Just eat as much as you possibly can. That includes a lot of vegetables. So I try not to throw that in unless it becomes necessary, or if they can't eat as much food. So I'll cut back on the vegetable intake, add in that fiber. So we make sure that we are getting that amount.
Yeah.
And kind of leading into the amount, I know there's numbers out there that float around the internet, and they vary a little bit, that where they say, oh, a male should have this much, a female should have this much. That's person to person. I've worked with females that anything over 10 grams, 10 to 12 grams, lock them up quick.
That's locks them up, right? So it's actually doing like almost the reverse issue thing with what its fiber is meant to do. It's help fiber. So those of you who don't understand what fiber does, there's soluble fiber and there's insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber absorbs water. It's water absorbent. So you're gonna take in soluble fiber and it's gonna kind of expand in the intestine. It's gonna soak up like a sponge, and it's gonna soak up water. It's gonna bind itself to some of the nutrients as well. The insoluble fiber, which is non-water absorbent, they call it like roughage, right? So you're not gonna have the sponge, and then you're gonna have some like roughage in there. And it's just gonna be kind of some stuff like basically what the roughage does is it scrapes the intestinal wall. So the soluble fiber expands like a sponge, and it presses the insoluble fiber up against the digestive tract, the liner, and then it falls through and it scrapes all that nasty toxins and shit out of your body. But it's if you get like a really strong fiber, if you're taking a lot of fiber, it's gonna strengthen your colon as well. And that's what you were going towards.
Yep.
So, okay, I'm sorry. 1 second, I'm sorry. So people who don't take in fiber on a consistent, regular basis, you're gonna have a weak colon, and that's where you're gonna get, if you start taking in too much all of a sudden out of nowhere, that's where it's gonna lock you up. Yep. That's a big problem in prep as well, because when you get towards the end of prep, you're starving, you start maybe kind of adding in a few more green beans here, a few more spinach there to kind of add as fillers, because they're, it's zero net carbs. And that's when you're gonna start running into some digestive problems in prep and start backing yourself up and not going to the bathroom as much too.
Yeah. And one thing too, when touching on soluble and insoluble fiber, is I know there's people out there that believe one's more important than the other. Mm-hmm. To me, they work hand in hand. You if you don't have the correct amount of both, what's the point?
Yeah.
I know the big one's more insoluble fiber or soluble fiber, depends on who you're working with, how your diet's structured. They're equally as important. They really
they work together. They work just like how I explained. That's why they're both so important. But so like that's good for you and me. But like Eric, you can't take fiber at all, right? Because I was so big on fiber that I think I even sent you a bottle of my own for you to try.
Yeah. In the beginning, when we were discovering what Crohn's can do, because I didn't know, and we both didn't know, so we were trying to figure out where to find the balance of what food to eat. And so he gave me fiber. He said try it, and it was like wreak havoc. It was the complete opposite of what I wanted.
So I don't want to get
too ahead
as detailed as you want, but like, what kind of side effects were you having from it? So you didn't know you had Crohn's until what, 2 years ago?
It was 2 years ago that it was officially diagnosed, but we've gone back and forth. Obviously, what happened, 4 years back when we first started talking about all these issues I was having with just foods that we were eating and just stomach issues that I was, going through and didn't realize what it was.
Right.
But most of the time when I would try the fiber, it would do the complete reverse, where it would completely back me up and just make me constipated and then just end up, bloody.
So with like severe ulcerative colitis and Crohn's, you can have like a lot of blood in your stool as well too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And wasn't the fiber making it a little more bloody than usual?
Oh yeah, because it was just it was irritating the inflammation even more. So you're saying where it was scraping the liner, where mine's inflamed and is not healed, it's just gonna keep shedding that blood out, which is in turn not good.
It's just painful stuff, probably.
Yes.
One question I got for you, Eric, too, is when your Crohn's is more flaring up with everything more because of the inflammation, do fats actually help you, or do they actually? They do.
Fats actually help. Yeah, I do. As Ryan knows, I eat mainly a lot of fats.
See, because I've ran into a couple of people that do have Crohn's, not necessarily clients, just talking to them, and they say fats more irritate them, which is the opposite of what I know of to reduce inflammation.
Well, it's obviously per person bias. Like obviously everyone has a different case of it. For me, in experiences, is like if I'm getting that bloating and the inflammation, I can feel that my colon's getting a little bit inflamed. I'll tend to eat more fat, and it actually will help calm it down a little bit.
Yeah. So the more monosaturated fats that you have, to reduce that inflammation, the better for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that goes, we just mentioned, is it's person to person basis.
Yeah, it's everyone can be completely different.
Are there certain foods you stay away from more than others?
For me, it's just high fibers, and anything really like slow digestion for me is bad. So like I won't eat anything whole grains or anything. I'm only white rice. I tend not to eat any like real beans or anything like that. I can't eat. If I do eat a vegetable, because I do try to find that balance of fiber I can eat, I'll do a little bit of green beans or just peas. So no broccolis, no anything that gets stuck, because I still obviously have inflammation. So anything that could get that roughage that can get stuck would obviously cause more pain and could get bacteria.
Yeah.
Now with that issue and more like how you specialize your diet, has that ever affected your cholesterol in a negative way?
Actually, yes. I just found out now that I have a higher, I think what did I tell you, Ryan, the other day?
LDL. You have higher.
Yeah.
So LDL, low density lipids and high density lipids. LDL is the bad cholesterol. HDL is your good cholesterol.
Yep.
Yeah. That's something typically with, I don't know, the higher fatty foods, less fiber, things like that. And you need that faster digestion that could raise your cholesterol level with everything. Yep. I was just wondering if that affected you.
Not impacting like high, just like on a level to like average, I'm like one step above. So it's not like a severe thing, but it is something I have to keep an eye out for.
Yeah. And, and that's something that leads into the segue of like there's other effects of digestion that can be affected with things that people don't know. Like, I think we've touched on this, like, I think it was week 1, or it might've just been you and me on the phone, Ryan, about like your liver. A lot of bodybuilders that abuse the drugs, or just the amount of food you do, or just any issues you have. If your liver, any of your organs, honestly, aren't processing things properly, they're not running 100%. Right. Things are back up. Things aren't going to work. Not just your mind, your muscles, but the most important thing, your digestive system. The one thing we don't know of.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, obviously, you use all your main organs for digestion, right? So the liver processes everything. The gallbladder puts out more bile, which emulsifies the fat. The pancreas releases the insulin. It's all kind of tied into one another, right?
Definitely, it all is, and it's like we said, it's a case by case basis of not just the food you eat, but what are the other issues within the organs. Yeah. Is the liver on the same page as the kidney that's helping with things? Any type of water, like we talked earlier about the hydration of stool. That's a big part of it, and those things have to all correlate together and be in the same response period for everything to work properly.
Yeah.
One thing I want to add real quick is stress for me is what kind of took the inflammation down way easier than anything else. Is just trying to deal with being less stressful, because it can cause crazy inflammation on your colon and stuff. So for me, I take a lot of the KSM 66, which Ryan was telling me about, and that's definitely helped my status a lot. As I used to get a lot of inflammation randomly throughout the month or wherever through my treatments, and with that has been less. Like, it's almost calmed it down to where I just kind of just chillax, and it just seems to help a lot, because stress is obviously inducing.
Yeah, so stress is like a big thing. I'm going to touch on it more. I just want to talk about it quickly. When you started getting like all the crazy severe symptoms, that was like a huge change in your life. There's like a huge dynamic in your life at that point, right? You just moved to Florida, you just started a new job, you're going through a pretty big breakup at the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of
you had the pec tear. This was like all kind of culminating all at the same time. So that probably messed you up pretty bad. I don't know if you can get too much better of a stress storm with that than that.
Yeah. So I'm sure that level of stress added to the pain a lot.
So talk about stress though. So stress is like it's probably one of the number one key factors when it comes to like bad digestion, right? When you're stressed out, like that's going to be one of the first things you're going to notice is that food's going to kind of sit really heavy in your stomach, and it's going to process really, really slow through your whole digestive tract, right? Have you noticed that with your clients, Sean?
Oh, definitely. And stress, like you said, is probably one of the main things that cause inflammation outside of genetic issues or just whatever disorder you have.
Yeah.
And there are a few things that you can take to alleviate it. I know one that I've used in the past that had success was 5-HTP or HTP 5-HTP, whatever it is.
From MHP, I think you're talking about.
Yeah, that's something that it typically has helped a lot in the past, but I think a lot of it's just more a hands-on approach of you just have to address the stress.
What's the 5-HTP? Is that's like a stress thing?
It's more like like it's not a cortisol blocker per se, but it's more a serotonin releaser. Okay. It helps with sleep. It helps with deeper REM sleep. And honestly, when I'm on it, I don't know if placebo effect or what, but I've always noticed better moods. Just more of just fear free. Just go about the day. I'm not gonna say it's some super supplement or something, but I noticed a little benefits from it, and people in the past have too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like whenever I hear, because that's one of the questions I ask in my check-ins from all my clients is, how is digestion? And the question I think right below that is, how's your stress level? And then that one below that is, how's your sleep? And those three questions are really tied into one another. If any one of the things are off, it's gonna affect the digestion. So some easy things to help with the stress, like Eric said, the KSM 66, that's a great one. I guess the 5-HTP. I've never personally taken it, but if you say it works, I believe you. Sleep, make sure you're getting like, 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep. The more you train, the more sleep you're going to need. And then what was the last thing I said?
Sleep. I think it was the last thing you said was sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sleep. Okay. Manage sleep. But then just look at all the external factors too. If you're having slow digestion, you gotta look at any kind of big changes in work. Just look at all the stressors in your life and try to see where you can manage the stress before taking any kind of drugs to help with that.
Yeah.
That's the first.
And a big thing that I do with my clients, I don't know a lot of coaches that do, but is I try to get like a really personal comfort level with you to where you can approach me with issues. And that helps a lot when you're in prep, because 9 times out of 10, when you're on prep, that's all you care about. Everything's on the back burner. Yeah. It's going to catch up. You're going to stress out. I've always left it to my clients that, look, I don't care what your issue is. If you just need someone to talk to, give me a call. I could care less. Right. That helps a lot of times. I'll give them ideas to help things, but if you can, instead of putting that stress on the back burner, attack it head on. That's going to help a lot with that, especially within digestive systems with bloating, constipation. And each person is going to react differently, especially in women. They will bloat quick when stressed, very quick.
Yeah.
Good de-stressor is sex too, just if you didn't know.
To have sex?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I was watching a podcast last week. I heard jerking off is anabolic. Is that true?
That's true. I heard the same thing.
Also a stress reliever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some other things that cause like slow digestion, right? A very easy one is chewing your food that a lot of people neglect. And I'm one of them too. I don't always do this. I don't always practice what I preach, but I try to preach it still. And when I'm cognizant of it, I try to pay attention to it. Chewing your food, try to chew your food at least 20 times, 20 or more times. The more you chew and the more you break down that food, the faster it's going to be able to digest through your system. The more it's going to be able to be broken down and absorbed, and the more nutrient uptake you're going to take in. The less you chew it, right? If you're crunching time, you start shoveling food in, or if you're deep in the off season, you just want to get as much food as possible, as quickly as possible, because you have the next meal in 2 hours again. It's going to hinder your digestion. It's going to slow you down. It's going to back you up eventually. It's going to keep you full longer, and you're not going to want to eat your next meal. And then you start compounding meals. And when you compound meals, that means you're trying to digest food on top of food that still hasn't been digested. That's when you start seeing higher insulin levels or higher blood sugar levels and a whole bunch of other issues as well. And then you just keep compounding that effect on top of each other, and you just slow down your digestion even more and more and more.
And another thing with the slowing digestion is look at the fats that you intake. Like we mentioned, that monounsaturated fats is very good for, the inflammation.
Yep.
And this is a person dependent thing. So you have to just kind of watch yourself on it. Is fats slow down digestion? You start compounding fats on, and then your next meal's more of a high paced, high carbohydrate meal. That meal's going to take longer to digest just because of the fats that you've had in your system.
Yep.
or within that meal too. Because each person would be dependent on how long it is going to take for them to digest those fats.
Yeah. So like last year, I started monitoring my blood sugar a little bit, just as like a health marker. I was do my blood sugar, my blood pressure. Those are 2 really easy things to buy. You can get, I think we talked about it last episode maybe, but you can get a blood glucose monitor out like Walmart or any kind of CVS store for like $20. They're cheap. But so previous to this year, I've always been with Palmberg for most of my bodybuilding career. Dave's very high in fats, which is good because it helps you grow. Last year, I must have been like, don't quote me on this number, but I was probably around like 150, maybe 160 grams of fat a day. But I remember my last meal, my meal before bed was 3 servings. So 14, 28, 42, right?
Yeah.
Around there.
Oh, yeah.
It was like 42, it was 3 servings of fat. So it's like 42 grams of fat on top of 60 grams of carbs. I was waking up with like 110 blood glucose level. And like a healthy blood glucose level in the morning fasted is below 100 and ideally below 90. So that was a really high number for me. And that was something I had to address, that you can start taking in some kind of GDAs, like glucose disposal agents. Those are supposedly help the muscles uptake the glycogen faster. Maybe some digestive enzymes I started taking too a little bit. Yeah. And some other options you can take if you want to talk to your doctor is like a long acting insulin, like a Lantus or a Levemir. That's just a slow trickle effect of insulin to help kind of alleviate the stress in your pancreas throughout the day. Those are some options too.
Yeah, and that's the thing with digestive issues is there's a multitude of options. Multitude. It seems always like the first thing people jump to is probiotics, just because that's what they're supposedly meant for.
Yeah.
I've personally not had much success with probiotics with people. It ends up being.
I've never taken them.
I never had myself.
You haven't either?
Nope, never touched them a day in my life for myself. I've had clients that tried them or clients that tried them on their own, and they've all came back and said, I just never noticed anything. High-end ones, cheap ones, just nothing.
So everyone nowadays, like every coach, every top level coach is now like a digestive expert. And like, that's all I really hear. This is what drives me crazy most of the times. Like you go on these Instagram Q&As, they put the question in their story and they say, ask me any question. When people talk about digestive questions, it's always like, oh, take a probiotic or the only good response that I see pretty consistently is, find out, here's a good topic that we can talk about. If you're having digestive issues and it's only start listening to your body, start monitoring your meals. Okay, what meal am I having at what time of the day? And after I eat that meal, how do you feel? How do you feel like an hour after? How do you feel a half hour after? So this is where you can start kind of troubleshooting yourself. What foods you're eating that are kind of causing some of these issues? Is it happening after your meal one? Is it happening before bed? You just got to kind of troubleshoot yourself and see where those issues lie. But yeah, it's just a lot of coaches just throw up the probiotics like it's a fix all. I've never taken it. I don't really know anything about it, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, beginning of the podcast, I tend to stick with more foods, yogurt, your vegetables, fiber supplement. The number one thing for me is pineapple. I will throw pineapple at people left and right.
I was just going to say, I know you're big on the pineapple.
Big time.
They're getting backed up, right?
For anything. I'll have you do it your entire prep up to I had a client. She was doing I think she was doing junior USA's, and she's backstage chugging her water, right before the show, the morning of the show, chugging her water, eating pineapple. And they're like, hold on, why are you eating pineapple? I think she got second or third that show. I can't remember. Yeah. But and she had massive, I mean, we're talking a girl that's borderline Crohn's, gluten issues, IBS. I mean, you name it, that girl's had it or has. So that's where a lot of my experience came from, was with her. And that's when I already knew a lot about pineapple, but I really, really went deeper into it with what it has, the bromelain, all that stuff. And I hate the term superfood, but if I had to label one, it would be pineapple.
I know there's some other good benefits for pineapple, right?
Oh yeah. It's a natural kind of.
I know where he's going.
Oh yeah. That I don't know the inside stuff.
A little sweeter, I heard.
Yeah, I heard.
I know where you guys are going, and I'm on the other side of this one.
He's like, no, he's over here on the fence, and me and Ryan are over here laughing.
Well, you don't think it tastes sweeter with pineapple?
I'm not answering that question. There's a lot of benefits to other foods. Yogurt's a big one, but be careful on the type of yogurt you get. A big one that I like to use is 000, but it has something called chicory root, which can.
Yeah. That's the Okio's brand, right? 000.
To me, that's one of the better yogurts, but some people do have issues with it with the chicory root in it. And you want to talk about a complete blowout, if par se. One guy I trained was a Navy SEAL, and he called me up after having that. He was cussing me out left and right.
Really?
Yeah, he did not like that. So you just got to watch the type of foods you have and monitor it. And it's, and I'm sure something Eric can tell you about too, is you can be perfectly fine eating the same things every day, every time, day in and day out, no issues. And then all of a sudden one day, aggravated. They come out of nowhere. I had a girl, I don't think I shared these photos with you, Ryan, but I can show you right before the last girl I turned pro with, I think it was about 3 weeks before her show, she sent me a picture of her at night. Her stomach, she looked 9 months pregnant. Like she's ready to blow. Had her do a couple things that evening. Next morning, shredded abs with veins. Literally an 8-hour difference.
See, Summer has a lot of problems digesting, especially towards the end of prep. And I think it might be because she starts filling it up with the green beans. Like I see, so we do. I know it sounds kind of weird, man. I don't know. we ran out of spinach one morning during prep like 2, maybe 3 years ago. And we had green beans. I was like, shit, let's try some green beans. And now we do green bean omelets with our eggs in the morning. I know it sounds kind of weird. It's delicious. Try it. But she loves her green beans. She piles green beans on. So I think hers might do some with the fiber, but there's other issues along with it too. So like getting ready for her last show when she did Universe, I think I said you some of the pictures of her. She was peeled out of her mind. Striated glutes, just striations on striations. But the night before, man, she was in so much pain because her stomach was just, out to freaking here from trying to carb up, eat the food. Dave gave her a burger and fry. Yeah, burger and fry as her last meal. And it's like 9:30 and she's just laying in bed crying because her stomach's huge. She can't go to the bathroom. And it just, I don't know. It's tough. So what do you do at that point? Hope
and pray. It depends on a lot of issues though. No, seriously, it's more like if somebody's constipated, sometimes you got to do what you got to do to alleviate that. But it's more, you have to monitor those final 2 weeks of the prep. You have to monitor them and what you put them so intensely. Yeah. One thing, like you mentioned, the burger and fry, that's kind of the go-to for coaches when they carb somebody up. I don't like to do that. I like to stick with the carbohydrates that we've been dieting with. Mm-hmm. So if you've more been a rice person, I'm going to carb you up with rice and rice cakes, or if it's potato, we'll stick on that side. Very rarely will I swing into like bread or French fries. Typically that's something I'll do kind of the day of the show, like after prejudging, go get your burger and fry. It's over. Just go have fun type thing. But I've never been a big fan of switching up carbohydrates at the last minute because you've gone weeks and weeks and weeks a lot of times without these carbohydrates or any type of nutrient. Does your body still have the enzymes to break them down? Does it have enough to break them down properly? That's where I think a lot of people were running digestive issues the couple days within the shows that carb up.
Yeah.
And I don't think people monitor the vegetables close enough towards the end of prep. I've seen people take out vegetables at the end of prep, which kind of didn't make much sense to me. Mm-hmm. But I've just seen people do that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's the last thing I mess with is your vegetables at the end.
Yeah, no, you are. I leave them in because you need them. Just that extra fill. Because if you don't have it, the smaller your plate looks, you get angry. You get angry.
That's something, man. I've had people eating upwards of like mostly bigger guys eating like 2 cups. Like, why are you giving me 2 cups of broccoli or whatever it is? I'm like, fill you up. Otherwise, you're gonna end up choking somebody out. You're just gonna be pissed off. You need something in your stomach.
Yeah. No, you brought up a good point earlier too. Talking about like the enzymes and talking about like kind of like you're talking about junk loading. I know this isn't really the same thing, but when talking about like when trying to diagnose digestive issues, you got to think about the foods that you're eating, right? A lot of people nowadays do this, if it's your macros or, they're switching out and they're doing, they're eating this kind of this junk food. All these processed foods, these simple sugars, they're not wholesome foods. They have a lot of digestive enzymes in them, vitamins, minerals, all those things play a big role in digestion and help easing the digestion and carrying the digestive enzymes to help break the food down even further. So that's another thing to think about is like when your digestion is really slow and backed up, look at the foods you're eating. If you're eating a lot of processed, simple foods, that might be one of the reasons you're kind of backed up as well.
Oh, for sure. And another thing I like to do too is use a high variety of vegetables. And I'm not saying switch every day or 2 days. Throughout one day, use broccoli in the morning, use raw carrots, green beans, asparagus. You need a large variety because they're going to have different amounts of fiber, different types of fiber, different benefits throughout the day. So that's something I'd like to do is really towards the end, around like 5-6 weeks, I'll just a huge variety of vegetables just all over the place. Cucumber.
When I worked with you and Eric, Eric and I both were prepped under you for a show in 2015. Whenever when we started, you started us off on like mixed veggies. And then at the end, you switch it to just greens, I think.
Yeah, greens tend to have a tendency to kind of more be a diuretic throughout the body. And they're easier to control. And given to neither one of you guys at that point had digestive issues.
No, 23 at that point maybe? Or no, 25. 25, yeah. So you must have been 24 then.
Yeah, and I'm not too big on mixed veggies a lot with people that have digestive issues. It's more I like to control your vegetables and the variety throughout the day. But if you take someone like me and Ryan, we more have iron stomachs, you can just throw whatever you want at me. I don't care.
Yeah.
But
it seems like a common thing across the whole bodybuilding world, man. Is Men generally don't have too many digestive issues. It's usually the women, unfortunately.
Women, it seems like it's more like 9 out of 10 women do have digestive issues. Chronically, it's mostly IBS.
Yeah.
A lot of people think they have gluten issues, which whether they do or don't, whether it was self-induced, who knows, but that happens more often than not, that they think they have something and they actually don't.
So I'm not too versed in the whole gluten thing, but I know your wife's friend has like a legitimate gluten allergy, right?
Yeah. So obviously we used to joke around with like the whole hype with the celiac thing, and like, is it brought on with like just media or like something they see and they just want to act that way, or is it real? And I never really believed it until I met her, and her friend was a legit 100% celiac. Like if she touches something that has any gluten or anything on it, her skin will break out and get her really sick, which is legit.
There's actually studies that are showing that there's issues with airborne gluten now with people with deep celiac.
Yep.
So you got like a whole corona celiac thing going on.
That's why we're wearing the mask now, man.
Masked up.
You know, but that's something when the gluten issue first came up, you know, God, that was about what, 10 years ago, we got real popular.
Yeah.
People thought it was like a death food, so they avoided it.
Yeah.
People that were normal and they avoided gluten, and then years and years down the road, they started eating gluten again, and they have issues with gluten. It was self-induced. You know, they lack that enzyme to break these things down.
Mm-hmm.
That happened often, just because they thought it was a bad food when it's really not, unless you do have issues with it. Because if you have issues, if someone has celiac or gluten issue, oh, it's bad. It's real bad. I actually worked with a guy that he was very private, didn't mention much about what he did in life. And he had celiacs, and we didn't know this at the time, but we started calling him Skinny Minnie because, you know, he disappeared for a while and lost 40 pounds out of nowhere. We're like, oh, damn, what's up, Skinny Minnie? And then we found out what he had. So I always felt bad calling him that, but he had celiacs, and it was to the point with him where, like, in the morning, if he walked in, he'd be perfectly normal. Somebody be eating breakfast. Next thing you know, he's in the bathroom, and he was just around them.
Jeez.
That sucks, man.
Right. And the one thing I wanted to add about foods and stuff like that, I don't know if you guys incorporate this with your diets or people who do have inflammation issues, is I eat a lot of stuff with turmeric because it's a natural spice that helps with inflammation. So for me, I don't know if anyone out there is listening that has Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. What I do in the morning is I just sprinkle a little bit of turmeric into my eggs. It doesn't taste that bad, and it does help me throughout the day with some inflammation.
Good.
So you guys, I don't know if you guys knew that, but turmeric's a really good natural anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard I haven't used turmeric much on myself or on people, but I have heard that it is very good with things like that. The other thing too, I don't know if you'd want to try, is a supplement called NAC, NAC. I really cannot pronounce the real version of it, but that has a lot of things that deal with like kidney, liver, and digestive issues.
Then curcumin too, I think is a really good anti-inflammatory as well.
Yep. I
love that kind of stuff. But the problem with taking a lot of those anti-inflammatory things is it's gonna if we're in the world of bodybuilding, we're trying to build muscle, you want some inflammation. Inflammation is what kind of triggers a lot of that muscle growth too. So you don't overdo it on all the anti-inflammatories, because it's gonna stunt your growth.
Yeah. So, it boils down to, you know, just don't start taking these things for anti-inflammation on your stomach or address these issues. Find out what's causing it.
Yes. Yeah.
Process by elimination. You find these things out, because you might not have the issue you think you have.
Yeah.
Or this could be a simple fix of adjusting your carbohydrate source.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's the big thing, is people just jump to, like we said earlier, just take some probiotics. You'll be fine. Address the issue.
Yeah. That's what I was saying earlier. Yeah. Just start troubleshooting yourself. Start paying attention to how you feel after you eat your meals, and try to, you know, cue in on what's causing that inflammation or that backup, or the heavy stomach or upset stomach or whatever it's going to be. A lot of times you can solve it right then and there, and it's simple. But
if you're having these issues and you have a coach, they should be willing to get detailed with you about these things and help you out. If they're not, call me or Ryan. We'll gladly help you.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's really all the key things that I had written down in my notes here for today. Digestion.
My bulldog just busted through the door and she wants attention.
What's it, Belle, right?
Bella, yeah.
Yeah. Remember, she's a sweet girl. Yeah, I just had common issues or common, ways to look at things to look at. Proper recovery, which is the stress and the sleep, like I said earlier. Food choices. Oh, here's one that I didn't touch on. A very easy one. is taste, right? Think about the difference. Like, okay, think about eating a dry piece of chicken, like a plain ass piece of chicken, not seasoned anything, just, you know, dry, overcooked maybe. And then think about eating like a big fat juicy burger, right? Which one's going to make your mouth start watering first? Probably that juicy burger. And that's because it tastes good. So if you're eating food that's like super dry and plain and doesn't taste good, that's probably also going to slow down digestion for you. I guarantee you that burger is going to go through your system really fast, and that dry piece of chicken is going to sit in your stomach pretty heavy for a little while.
See, I'd like to know, you know, like you mentioned on that, but how would it also affect someone like bodybuilders that 20 minutes after eating, we're 5 weeks out from prep, we're starving, 20 minutes after a meal? Are we going to start salivating and getting these digestive enzymes going just thinking about food?
Yeah. Talking about prep, right? So typically everybody starts slowing down digestion with prep. You get to that 8 week out mark, and you maybe stop going to the bathroom every day. We're pretty regular. At least guys are. Go to the bathroom 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. I don't know. No, I mean, but honestly, sometimes I'll go to the bathroom like 5 times a day in the middle of the off season, right? But then the deeper you get into prep, it starts stopping, and then sometimes you'll go 2 or 3 days without going, and then you'll go and it'll be a couple Hershey Kisses in the toilet, Tootsie Rolls, and it's not much at all. But so you got to think about, like, it's not that you're backed up a lot of the times. It's that your body likes homeostasis and it's trying to stay normal. And if you're starting to starve it, it's going to slow down digestion on purpose so it can start uptaking more nutrients and start taking in as much nutrients as possible because it wants to survive and it wants to stay alive. So that's part of the reason too why you start slowing down in prep as well. But
you're eating less food. You have less solid. So if you're taking in less, of course you're going to put out less.
Yep, that's it. Yep.
Hell, I think my last show, I went like 2.5 weeks without taking a shit. Didn't have no bloating. I had nothing, no issues, none whatsoever. And then all of a sudden we just went to normal. But like we said, everyone's going to be very different. That's just how it's going to be. So you need to pay attention to those signs immediately, from bloating, irritation, stomach aches. Any issue that starts needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Sometimes even in prep, you're not going, but you have to go, right? You can feel, you kind of get that nasty, if you're backed up constipated, you get that nasty kind of feeling throughout your whole body, and your stomach feels heavy and gross. At that point, if it starts getting there, and you tried more fiber, or you tried fiber, you've tried all the the regular remedies that you normally do. At that point, man, I usually go to Senna tea, take 2 tea bags, Senna tea, Smooth Move tea, whatever it's called. Super Diarist tea is another brand. If that doesn't work, dude, you can take a Ducalax. Ducalax or a Miralax, or some kind of laxative to help get it out there, because you don't want to. Because when you don't feel good, you're not going to digest properly either. You're not going to be taking the food in like you should. So it's better just to kind of get it out of the system at that point.
That thing that's probably going to make everyone laugh saying it, but one of the better ones to use is a suppository.
I was going to say suppository worked. That's what I had to do.
That's what the Ducalax is. It's just a little, the little silver bullet. Just pop it up there.
I had a client, man. I told he was having real bad stomach issues. He wasn't even on prep. Wasn't even a client at that point. He was a friend. Yeah. He said, "Man, I just haven't gone. I can't go." I was like, "Dude, get a suppository." He said, "Oh, I'm not doing that." I'm like, "Dude, just go do it. Come on."
Not in high school anymore. Just do it.
Yeah.
In the bedroom, he's got his finger in his girl. Like, what the hell? Come on.
Yeah. That's all I have for. That's all the notes I took down. So, unless you guys, either one of you got anything else to add to it, we can move on to some questions. All right.
I mean, digestion can go on for days and days to talk about. Just a quick synopsis of what we talked about is just pay attention to your body, pay attention to symptoms, pay attention to the food you eat. Whether the preservative foods, organic, just standard foods, whatever you do, just pay attention to what you're eating.
Yep. And pay attention to life in general, stress, sleep, like I said, the taste of foods, slow down when you eat, chew it. Those are the main things. Eric, you talked about all the Crohn stuff again. You said use turmeric. You said eat more fats, less
more fast acting carbs. So nothing that's slow, whole grains and stuff. Try to avoid that.
Okay. No, so you can't take in I know like nuts and Like those hard gritty type things are bad too. That's going to irritate the ulcer.
Yeah, so, right? Yeah. Most times I have inflammation, so you don't want to have anything that can,
Okay. So you're talking like more monounsaturated, like oils and peanut butters and
yeah, peanut butter, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got a few questions. Did you guys get any questions at all?
I got one.
All right. Mine one you don't want to read, so.
What? Come on.
It was a guy just fucking with me that I know.
Those are the best.
I kind of want to know what it is now.
He asked, he wanted to know, how does he get as sexy as us?
Dude, that took me years, bro. That's 30 years. It's 30 years of work.
Yeah. 29 and a half years.
A lot of beauty sleep.
You're 30 now.
I know. That's why I was I was like, damn it.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's just talent, man. I can't explain how I got to look like this. Old and balding, and I don't know.
Just drink water.
Any of you guys got gray hairs yet?
Say what?
No. You got gray hairs yet?
Fucking right here.
On the beard?
Yeah. See, it's funny though, is I wake up every morning and I see like silver in my hair, and I'm like, I have like a miniature panic attack, and then I touch it and it's like Bella's hair falling out. I'm like, okay, fuck that dog.
Yeah. I got like one or two that'll pop in the beard once in a while. Here's a good one. All right, Instagram. More or less volume during contest prep. So like that goes back to like the early days in bodybuilding, right? Everyone says like, oh, lift heavy and low reps to gain muscle, then do high reps to burn fat, right? There's a little truth to that, but not much. Now, this is my take. I'll show how many years and Eric's after this, but my take is I train the same throughout the entire year, whether I'm full off season or full contest prep. My training is the same. My volume doesn't change. I still approach training the same way. Still try to hit the same numbers. I try to keep my strength just as high as I possibly can. You want to keep your strength up, so try to keep pushing those heavy numbers, because as soon as you start letting off the gas in that's when you're going to start losing some muscle too, because there's less demand on it. And that's just the general rule of thumb for. So the less you start doing less volume, the less demand the muscle, the less reason for it to stay as big and full as it is. So keep volume normal, keep strength training as hard as you can. And that's the base of the only time I kind of pull back on volume is maybe like the last couple of weeks when you're real deep into prep and like you have like zero energy. At that point, maybe pull back a set or two, but keep the intensity still high.
Yeah, fully agree. You do what got you there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the same rule. Just if you can get 8 to 10, you're perfect. If you get more than 12, then up the weight.
Basically.
There you go. Sean, I'll tell you who asked this one after the podcast.
I got one question on mine, which you already touched on, but it said, how many times a day do you poop?
So today I went like 3 times in the morning, and then I went before we're getting ready for the gym, and I was like, hey, I'll be right back. I gotta use the bathroom. She's like, again?
Yeah. How many coffees do you have?
What?
How many coffees do you have today?
No, just one.
Okay.
Yeah, just the 7.7 ounce and then espresso.
All right.
So
for me, it's egg white. The minute I have egg whites, right to the bathroom.
Egg whites?
Yeah, egg whites. Not nothing bad, just normal bathroom. But it's like I eat egg whites. I'm like, all right, gotta go bathroom.
That's a trigger, huh?
Yeah.
My trigger is the smell of the coffee. So like in the morning, I'll eat my eggs and have whatever it is, toast or something. And as soon as I get the coffee machine going, the smell, I'm going. So I'm a 1 time a day.
I don't even drink coffee, so I couldn't relate with the coffee things.
You don't drink coffee?
I hate the smell of it. I hate the taste of it. Everything about it.
I wish I got into it. I never had coffee until I think 25, and then I just got hooked.
I'm literally.
You know what it was? Is I never liked it, and then I remember I was at work one day, and so I went from being in the Air Force, working on jets in the flight line all day long, being active, to a desk job, and I was just like dying at my desk for like the first year. I was like, what is wrong with me? And one day I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go downstairs and get a cup of coffee from the cafe. And I took cups of coffee, and like all of a sudden I was like wired. I was like, what the hell? I was like, is this what fucking coffee does for people? I was like, I completely get it now. And ever since then, I'm hooked, but I keep it low. I only do 1 cup of coffee a day because I'm honestly mainly it's just because I want to keep my tolerance to caffeine low. So when I take like my pre-workout, it still hits me pretty hard.
I do it strictly as a diuretic. Because for me, it helps me move what I need to, because I get some pain obviously with the Crohn's and the bloating. That keeps me regular every day. So with that, it just gives me that. And of course, the energy is obviously bonus. So part of my routine.
So I never had the issue. I literally, my alarm goes off. I'm up like a ninja. I'm ready to roll.
All right.
I've just always been that way. Even as a kid, I just, whoop, let's go.
Okay. So, like I said, Sean, I'm going to tell you who asked this one afterwards. How awkward does it feel when your ball sack goes back to normal? There's no real
post cycle.
Listen,
it's very awkward.
So does your ball sack actually change?
No, not what the ball sack. It's what's inside the sack.
Well, the sack changes because it'll drop. Got more weight.
They're heavier, so the ball sack lengthens.
It's like a good drop.
I can tell you a funny story about that too, but I can remember one story. I just PCT'd. I'm on HCG, and I tend to do HCG a little different. I kind of blast it at the beginning, so them suckers are back instantly. And I get on the leg press, and I put my legs kind of together, and I'm like, where do I put these? What do I do? They go down, over? Do I split them? Like, what do I do with these guys?
Here's the thing go ahead.
No, I said you stack them on top of each other.
I
just didn't know where to put them. It's like, I haven't seen these guys in weeks. What do I do?
Here's the thing they don't tell you about being big, right? Everybody wants to be big. Everyone thinks it's cool to be big. What they don't understand is that your balls are in the way, dude. That thigh gap closes up, and now everything's pushed up and then mashed together. So it's mashed at the back side from the thighs and smashed on the front side from the boxes and the jeans, and there's just nowhere for them to go. So it's just, it's a constant sweaty, sticky mess down there, man. It's the most annoying thing.
That's why I get on cycles, so they shrink and don't get in the way.
Yeah, keep them out of the way.
Reason. It's not a thing, but I can tell you a funny story, kind of being we're on that subject of nuts. Long time ago, I just got back into working out, and I was in a deadlifting, and I deadlifted. I don't even remember what it was, but I deadlifted. Kind of felt a little weird down there. Didn't think nothing of it. And the next day I was in the gym and I was warming up doing biceps, and it felt like someone just kicked me square in the nuts. I felt on my knees, hard to breathe, everything. I go downstairs to the locker room, and I put my hands down there. I only feel one testicle. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? I don't think I told any of this story. And what ended up happening was one of my testicles was pressed up against the hole, basically where they're at when they're a kid, and ripped right.
Sucked it up?
Went right on it, right up on in me. And so I go to the little med clinic, whatever, down the road, and I'm like talking to the doctor, and he's kind of laughing at me. He's like, yeah, this is pretty common. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This ain't common. My fucking nuts playing hide and seek on me. Like, when the hell's he coming back? And he's like, oh, it'll be back in a couple of days. But sure shit, within about 2-3 days, I woke up. I was like, oh, okay, he's back. But it took a while for that sucker to get used to. I had to always like hold a testicle down doing anything just because it would want to creep back up there.
I had
just stop me when.
My brother had a friend we were growing up that dude, I was convinced this dude had just the biggest package I've ever seen. But like, it was like, you don't ever look, but sometimes it's just like your eyes get drawn to like something that doesn't look right. This dude's like, his bulge in his pants was just massive. I was like, yo, what is this dude packing down there, man? And, lo and behold, it actually was like his balls never dropped, or one of his balls never dropped. And it like just collected like this massive like fluid sac in there, so it just looked nasty. So I don't think he was packing that much. I think it was just a retention issue.
Yeah, I just remember a lot of pressure and a lot of discomfort. That's all I remember from it, really. But it hurt like a motherfucker when it happened.
So biggest takeaway from today is don't deadlift.
Yes, deadlifting causes too many issues.
I can say I never lost a ball though. I never heard that. You can lose a ball.
Yeah, and the doctor tried telling me that was a normal thing. I was like, I've never fucking heard of this. Is playing hide and seek. Like, let's go here. Come on.
That's weird.
Like, oh, it'll drop.
Okay, here's a good one. Sean, I'll let you go with something first. The politics of promoters and shows. How to overcome it when the odds are against you. So I'm just going to start by saying, I think it's more, and I think this is a, I know for a fact this guy is a natural athlete who competes in the OCB, but I think it's more prevalent in the natural organizations than it is in the NPC. That's just from what I've seen, but I'll let you, so Sean, how do you overcome politics in the competing world?
You present a physique that they can't turn down. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking to me as far as when it comes to politics. I'm not a forefront person to sit there and shoulder rub any judges, anything like that. I'm more stay back, present your physique type guy. And I ran into politics myself, you know, mostly in OCB. But at the same time, you just have to present a physique that they just can't deny. That's the best I could possibly tell you. You sitting there rubbing shoulders with the promoter, the judges, what's it going to get you? You're just going to be seen as a brown noser. Just put in the work. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, that's the best way, obviously. And I'm going to give you another take on it, and I guess it's politics, but I'll just say it like this: you can play the game without playing the game, right? An easy way to do it is talk to the judges after the show, get feedback. And not necessarily just so you get the feed. So you two takeaways, right? You're going to get feedback on what you need to improve on your physique so you can place better, but you're also going to get face time with that judge. And so if you have a good interaction with them, you can, introduce yourself. Hey, I'm Ryan Palmberg. I've been doing this for how long? I just wanted some feedback on why did I place where I did, what I need to improve on. Now you've introduced yourself to this judge. This judge knows you. He knows your face. He knows he had a pleasant conversation with you. And so I guess it's the game of politics, but it's not, right? So, but now at least he knows you, he knows your face. The next time he sees you on stage, maybe his eyes are going to be on you for a second longer, right? And maybe he's going to look at you and say, and remember the conversation you guys had, and he said, hey, maybe you bring your quad sleep up, or bring your adductors up, or bring this up, and maybe he's going to look for that. And now you have his attention for 1 second, 2 seconds longer, and that's 2 seconds he's not looking at someone else. So it's kind of playing politics with politics, but it's not politics, you're not brown nosing.
Yeah. One thing I can tell you from not personal experience, but being told this stuff from high level NPC judges is your social media. If you're on that high level of NPC where you're on that national stage constantly, or OCB, you're knocking on that door to turn pro, they watch you. I've heard this first and foremost from the man Gary Udit himself. High level judges, they will check out your social media, and you think you're representative of them. Do they want to turn Austin Lloyd pro with all he's put out there in his talk? Never. Same Kai Green in the grapefruit. That's a bad look. So if you're presenting nothing but negative talk on your social media, you're going to be a representative. Then now it's not going to happen.
Yep. At the end of the day, the NPC, the OCB, all these organizations are businesses, and businesses want to make money. So they're going to, and it's sad to say, but sometimes they're going to go with the guy that has, 40,000 followers versus the guy that no one even knows, because sometimes it's going to be it's going to bring them more money. But yeah, that's a good point too. Have a good social media presence and have a positive social media presence.
That was something that I talked to a big client about is, talk about working out and things like that, show your workout, but show a lot of stuff with family, just things in that general nature. And they like that type of thing. Don't show that bodybuilding is your life.
Yeah, it's an avoid point, right? Okay. This one is specifically for you, actually. It says, this is for Sean. Will having frequent sex ruin my gains?
I don't even know how to answer that.
I think you answered it best last podcast, Eric.
What's that?
Is it anabolic?
Is it anabolic? Yeah. Well, actually, what kind of sex is it?
It doesn't say, so I guess you can count all the any kind of sex.
Yeah. Well, it depends how many calories they're burning.
I mean,
it's true.
Yeah.
Were you going to say
I would just question, why would you turn it down before a workout?
Well, I'm sorry, you broke up for 1 second.
Why would you even turn it down before a workout? Who cares? Just go have sex.
Yeah. Or you turn down liver.
I've tried it both ways, man. That doesn't. For a while, I was convinced that before the workout, it drains some of my energy. You know what I mean? It's what if you listen, we're all guys here. We all know how it is. Sometimes, sometimes it's a couple pumps. Sometimes it's going to last for, 15, 20 minutes. I'm not going to do a 15, 20 minute session before the gym. So maybe don't do it before the gym. save it for after the gym.
Well, that's an old school thing too. With old school boxers, they wouldn't have sex their whole prep because they believed that it would lower their testosterone. Seriously.
Yeah.
No wonder why they're boxers.
I think they've actually shown studies it's the exact opposite. After a male orgasms, his testosterone spikes up.
Yeah.
I can do that because it's regenerating.
Yep.
So it is anabolic, to answer Eric's question.
Damn right it is. I knew it.
All right. This is the last one. Yeah. Can you do HIIT in place of cardio? So HIIT is high intensity interval training, which can be a form of cardio or it can be a form of training, which is essentially cardio. Cardio, or just to put it simple, cardio is just increased activity level, right? That's all it is at the end of the day. It's just whether you're increasing your heart rate or anything that increases your heart rate is essentially cardio. But yeah, HIIT can be in place of cardio and in prep, if that's what the question is. You just have the coach that knows how to program that kind of stuff. I would never do it as personally. I would just give you, a cardio regimen. Some guys I've heard people doing, like prowler pulls and sled pulls and those kinds of things. I don't know. What's your take on that, John?
It's how your diet's structured. I prefer giving people as much food as possible because that's what preserves the muscle, builds the muscle. When I give high quality, high amounts of food, I need that low impact cardio, slow treadmill, just keep moving. If you're more of a type person that just can't eat much, don't want to eat much, I'll give you high intensity. I'm not a fan of it personally because I think we touched about this in the past, that it more burns the calories that are available right then and there from food versus breaking down fat storage, but in all honesty, most of the people that I know that do HIIT cardio, they're already in shape before they're in prep. So are they really doing anything, or is it just the food doing the work?
Yeah. And then this question isn't really safe, but it's goal dependent, right? Like what's your goals? So competition prep, I would stay away from HIIT cardio. You want to just, you want to target burning fat. If it's to improve your cardiovascular system, absolutely. That's going to definitely improve your cardiovascular system. It's going to be able to, it'll even help your endurance during actual training, right? Like I know, dude, for me, typically always, because I don't do much HIIT, my squats suffer from like lack of cardio endurance, right? It's like a lot of the times, like I'll fail on squatting because I just can't breathe anymore, but I have more reps in the tank, muscle wise, strength wise.
Well, then it's about your physical features also. I mean, how would you feel, Ryan, with your knees running for a minute straight sprinting?
No, it's not gonna happen. It's definitely not gonna happen.
And there's some people like, oh, I'll just get over it. It's like, no, you're just gonna make it worse. Like just get on the treadmill.
Yeah. So actually, my knees, man, I've been working like crazy the last like 2 or 3 weeks, foam rolling like crazy, stretching like crazy. And then my doctor gave me, and this is embarrassing to admit, she told me she was going to give me some anti-inflammatory to help out. And I got the bottle in the mail the other day and it said arthritis medication. I was like, oh. But I've been able to squat the last, this is 3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row, being able to squat without any kind of knee pain during or after the training. So I think the culmination of all 3 things I'm doing is definitely helping right now.
I thought that was going to circle back to the suppository when you said it was kind of embarrassing.
No, I mean, I could try it. I could try it that way. I don't know how effective it'll be, but
it's like it's a cream, so that would be awkward.
It's a cream.
But hey, no one's judging.
Oh man, that's all I got for questions, man. You guys know that? Oh wait, I'm sorry. One more question. I had it written down from someone asked me in person. Okay. Oh, we'll let it go. I keep hearing that doing like vacuums is better for abs than doing like sit-ups and crunches, right? That's what someone asked me at the gym today. No, definitely not, right? So vacuums, okay, so your core, right? Core is made up of a bunch of different muscles. Your rectus abdominis, which is the actual, your actual abs that you see on stage, your 6-pack, your 8-pack, your TVA, your transverse abdominis is actually what's contracting during a vacuum. That's what, pulls that stomach in. It's really kind of like a sheath that's wrapped around the abdomen and pulls that in. So when you're talking about, doing vacuums, it is not better for your abs. It's just another exercise for your core. So like when comparing it like vacuums to sit-ups or crunches, you're talking two completely different things. They're not related whatsoever. They're both equally as important. I guess if you want to say, if you're talking about stomach control on stage, then yes, vacuums are more important. If you're talking about, visual abs on stage, then, crunches and your sit-ups are going to be definitely more important.
Yeah. Two points on that is when you work a muscle, point is to track it to a small peak. Vacuums is the exact opposite. It's not contracting.
You broke up.
The point of an exercise is to contract it to its smallest peak.
Yes.
That's a crunch, a leg raise, not a vacuum. But then, like you had just mentioned, vacuums are very good for bodybuilders, especially in breathing. When you're on stage, it helps you control that breathing. It's a lot easier that way.
Yep. Yeah. I never did vacuums at all up until 2019. I started doing them, and I'll get them like super, super, super deep to the point where like your abs are pulling up inside your rib cage. And since then I stopped doing them like so, religiously, but I can still pull it in really tight. Even, at 230 right now, I can still pull it in pretty tight. But it's definitely something you should keep up with. It's going to help. It helps out with your stage presence, helps you control your breathing. It definitely helps the whole bubble gut thing on stage as well.
Definitely.
That's all I got for questions, man. I think this is a pretty good podcast, digestion, and then some good questions and some goofy ones as well. But you guys got any last notes?
Nope, that's about it.
That's it.
All right. Remember to like and remember to subscribe to this channel, guys. We'll see you next week. 1 second, figure out how to stop recording this now. Recording.
That in the video.